What up, y'all? Black Image Entertainment, Cutthroat. Oh, well, yeah, there you go. My cohort is missing. I don't know where he is. But wanted to bring you a quick review. I just finished Red Dead. This is the spoiler-free Red Dead review. And now that I'm finished with the game, yeah, I finished with it a little earlier than my cohorts, plural. I won't say that I was powering through the game. I'll just say that I had a lot more time than everybody else that I know that's also playing it. So I had some time off and some much needed vacation, and a lot of that was spent on Red Dead. Uh, and I was able to finish it. Red Dead does have two endings, depending on how you look at it. The main story ends at one point of the game. Then there's a continuation after that that kind of wraps up some loose ends, so to speak. So one could say that the game has two endings. The credits don't actually roll until you finish the continuation. So that's something to keep in mind as you're playing it and going through it. Overall, now that I'm finished with the game, it's not as long as part one. It's not as long as the first Red Dead. But there's a lot more care and detail that went into this one. The controls are still jacked up. They're just jacked. All the way through the end, the controls are jacked up. All the way through the end, I still had random occasions where stuff just didn't work like it was supposed to with the controls. Especially on that very last fight, I saw a lot of issues with the controls that just kind of made the play. It made me replay a lot of missions where, had the controls been right, I may have not had to replay them at all, or at least as often. So there were a lot of times where I could see that my guy was dying, but the response time on the controls, um, they wouldn't respond fast enough, even though I'm pressing the heck out of them, and it resulted in obviously me dying. So dying on the game. So the story, I like what they did. Spoiler free, of course. I like what they did with the story. I think that they took the things that people complained about in Red Dead, the original one, and they took that into consideration, and they kind of cleaned up some of the stuff that maybe wasn't so explanatory, that didn't explain itself in Red Dead. They did take the time out to point out some things and acknowledge those things that you may have not been so happy with in Red Dead Redemption. Uh, Now that the credits have rolled and the loose ends are tied up, um, spoiler free, I can say that this game put me in a lot better place at the end, whereas the first one really just kind of left me pissed off, left me heavily pissed off, highly pissed off, and I don't think I picked it back up after I finished it. Matter of fact, I'm pretty sure I didn't pick it back up. That being said, playing two does have me in heavy consideration of replaying one, um, just to kind of get that all the way flow through. And we'll see. We'll see if that happens. I mean, I do have a lot of games on my list that I need to play, and I don't know if replaying a 10-year-old, 11-year-old game will get the time that it deserves. Um, I can heavily recommend this game, highly recommend this game. It was very entertaining. Family came into town for Thanksgiving. They were watching me play, and they were thoroughly impressed with the graphics and the little bits of the story that they understood. They were impressed with those as well. So much so that even my mother was asking if what happened in this part of the story to make what you're playing now happen. And luckily, I had YouTubed it and had it recorded, archived, and so I was able to show her exactly what took place prior to the parts that she was seeing. But Mom didn't even stay awake for the replay, and that's that, you know. But it's there out. It's out there, Mom. If you ever want to watch it to see what took place in the story prior to the portions that you came over and watched. So story was overall good. They have a way of investing you, drawing you into the characters. Um, that definitely drops these nuggets, definitely flushes out the story. I would definitely recommend doing the stranger missions, those question marks that randomly pop up on your map. I would highly recommend doing those. Those play a not so much an integral part into the story itself, but it does open up a lot of small storylines that the main story doesn't touch. So I would definitely invest some time. If you see a question mark pop up on your map, go ahead and check it out, and see what those characters are talking about. Without spoiling anything else, what else can I say about the game? So yeah. Oh, they had some great music. Holy War and I spoke earlier, and there's a few songs in the game that are very well done, and they're spot on for what's going on in the story. Uh, the music that they do have in the game is very well thought out. I think they did a really good job with the music. So presentation, I'm gonna give the presentation a 9.5. I'm not gonna give it a solid 10. There's been a few times where, and I know you may have seen this on other websites or whatever, where people will be pretzels or they'll be turned around and maybe their body will be one way and legs walking another way. That happens. Stuff randomly floating. That happens. I had a horse that was ass up eating grass, and I took pictures of it. I just couldn't understand why the horse had his butt up in there. So that's why I don't give it a perfect 10. I think there were some glitches in the game that made the overall, it kind of brought down the overall presentation, but looks wise, the presentation was definitely top notch. So much so that the people that were watching me playing, there's a part where you're overlooking a canyon, and the depth perception in the game is amazing. It's amazing. So I can't give it a perfect 10, but I definitely give it a 9. Controls, I'm taking the controls down to about a 7, maybe a 6.5. Sound, All the sound was great. The train sounded great. The galloping sounded great. The few songs that they had in the game sounded great. Sound, I'm giving a 10. 10, 10, 10 hands down. Uh, Even the way the bullets sound when you're reloading and he was spinning the revolver, yeah, that was nice. That was the sound. I give it all a 10. Um, and I guess that's about it. Story. What I would give the story. You know, the story. There's still some loose ends in the story that they haven't wrapped up, even in the latter part. And spoiler free, I'll just leave it at that. So the story, I don't know. The story, I'm gonna definitely give it a 9. There were a couple of parts where maybe, without spoiling anything, maybe a certain character would disappear, or maybe you would think another character was dead, or maybe you would think that this other character wouldn't do something. And seeing that this game is a prequel, it was really kind of hard for me to get invested in some of the cliffhangers that they tried to present in the story. It may work for someone like Holy War who didn't play the first one, but those of us who played the first one, we ain't fall for that. I guess that's all I'm going to say in the spoiler-free version. The story, I give the story about a 9. There were some parts in the story it seemed kind of silly. It seemed kind of repetitive and it seemed kind of silly. So I can't give it a perfect score. Um, but the story was pretty good. The characters in the game, some of the characters were very well written. I got a crush on one of the characters, but I'll save that for the spoiler version. Um, the characters, even some of the annoying characters, you could understand their perspective, and I think they did a pretty good job with developing the characters. One of the characters in the camp just stays drunk, stays drunk. One of the characters is a recovering drunk. And so they kind of try to invest you into those characters and understand where they may be coming from and why they're acting like they are. So I think the character development in the game was pretty good. Uh, the main character, they don't do such a good job of explaining who he is, where he comes from. Um, they just kind of drop him in there, drop him into the fray of a story that's already going on. And of course, you take over that character. So over time, because of the honor system, they let you determine what type of character they are. That being said, because I can't say too much more without going into spoiling, I believe that they tailor some of the latter parts of the game based off of the actions that you do throughout the game. So if you decide to be a good guy, you'll get this sort of dialogue. Whether you decide to be a bad guy, you may get another sort of dialogue. I got the trophy for extreme personality because I maxed out my honor when I finished the game. So I was feeling pretty good about that. Uh, I claim that I'm going to replay the game with the bad version, doing all bad acts. Is on the heels of me saying that this morning they announced that the online beta will be dropping day after tomorrow. And for those of us who purchased the Ultimate Edition, will get access to it. It's kind of questionable when we'll get access to it, but Ultimate Edition buyers will get access to it. I think it's like 8 hours or something like that before people who purchased it in October. They're doing something real strange with the release of the online. But I'm just happy that it's here because when I finished the main campaign, I actually started another game. I opened a brand new game and started playing that because I didn't really have anything else that I wanted to do. So I'll leave that there. Spoiler-free version. Not getting into too many specifics, but giving my overall rating. Cutthroat rating on the game, easily a 9, 9.5. Easy. It's probably heck, I think it's one of the games that I've sat down, played, and finished it in a short time frame in under a month? Yeah, because it came out October the 26th. So, yeah, under a month, I sat down, played it, and finished this massive game in under a month. So, that will be the first time Cutthroat has done that in a long time. But if you like what I said here, you got anything? Oh, he's not here still. If you like what I said here in the spoiler-free version, leave a comment below. I'm doing these solo videos because Holy War is still going through the game. I'm about to record the spoiler version. Stay tuned. Hit that subscribe button. Leave me a comment below. Cutthroat with Black Image Entertainment. I'm out. Peace.